back again today with an absolute legend of a guest and a new recent pal of mine. I am honored to be joined by Kristian Shepherd, better known as Sheps in the industry. He is a Mancunian designer with 17 years under his belt. Currently a senior designer at Pearlfisher in New York, where he moved there in 2023 after stints at Turner Duckworth, D&B, freelance chapter in London. Outside of work, he is the founder of the very good podcast, which you should be checking out, What Does Your Mum Think? A show that's quietly become one of the genuinely interesting voices in the creative space, thanks to Shep's refusal to let guests just rehearse their greatest hits. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, which explains a lot about how he approaches his career. Today's conversation is a bit different from our usual. We're going to get into his journey, what it actually looks like to feel lost after hitting your dream agency, running a podcast alongside a full-time role, and some of the mental health stuff in the industry that isn't talked about too often. Sheps, fellow grill wearer, fellow podcaster, happy to have you here, man.
Brother, that was a lovely intro. Thank you very much, Jimmy, and thank you very much for having me. And yeah, when I say like 17 years in the industry, I class my student time as I'm saying experience as well, because it is, I'd
Doubts.
always it does, bro. I always remember getting told at uni, like as soon as you start getting deep into your, studies, say, call yourself a designer, fake it till
Yeah.
you make it, even, you know what I mean, kind of
Add
energy.
them
So
years on, man. Add them on.
yeah, dude, it's all building up, But yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. We've been a long time coming, man. I'm very excited to do this. So
Man.
I really want to kick off just jumping into your journey. I think it's a great place to start with guests, and I think you've had a very interesting one. So, as we said, 17 years, including the student time in the industry. You've been Manchester, you've been London, and now New York. I'd love to know, like, when you look back at those chapters, is there like a through line, or is it only hindsight that makes that all feel connected?
Um, I guess I've done a lot with intent. Do you know what I mean? From like kind of like starting out, I guess in London, I always wanted to. When I graduated uni, I picked the agency I wanted to work at. It was Turner Duckworth. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of I was rubbish at uni, bro. I was just like really kind of I just really loved it. I fell in love with it, so I didn't give up. Um, so I did like a placement year, gathered like a little portfolio together after my second year, in between like second and third year. Obviously got a placement at TD luckily at the time, I think, with the work that I had. I just was like bare enthusiastic, bro, and didn't leave people alone. And then yes, it was like kind of, I came back from my last year, built a portfolio towards like, big brand worlds like Turner Duckworth did and stuff, like loads of little ideas. I'm a very ideas designer. I love a smile in the mind moment. Um, so again, it was kind of that, I guess, and then naturally going through my career, then it was like I went to, like you said, B&B next, or stayed there for a short time, and then after that, B&B wasn't really for me. But in hindsight's always 2020 in it, so I'm really glad I made that move from Turner Duckworth. I always had the attitude, bro, of like, if I was never gonna stay somewhere for longer than 5 years. I was like, the designers that I admire, a lot of them have been around to different studios and seen different walls and done different things in their career. So I've kind of always been that. In hindsight, I think I would have gone a little bit less kind of linear, so to say, and gone to a more maybe advertising, maybe an in-house brand and stuff like that. I think so. Yeah, I guess it was, another packaging agency, but it weren't really for me. So I left there and I went freelance, and freelance was a bit of a different challenge for me because it was like holding your own, getting your own, making sure you got work tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it was, and I enjoyed that hustle. And but then after like 2 years of doing that, it was like I was sat in my London apartment, bro, and it was like I was just so uninspired. I felt like I was lacking mentorship in a way. I was pushing this thing on my own, and just I don't know, it just weren't really thinking. So then that's when I kind of started the podcast, and then that's where I started petitioning to the world to go to bloody New York. I had everyone repping me, bro. If there was ever like a post on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it was about something in New York or a job in New York, everyone would be tagging me up and da 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 da. And then I did a stint with Pearlfisher, and then it kind of aligned. I worked with Matt Sear on a project, loved his energy.
Yeah, sick guy.
Um, yeah, he's a lovely geezer, man, and I'm a very good judge of character. I think in them, my mother give me that, and then I think, and yeah, it just felt right. So then short, so long story short, say I moved out to New York, and then now I'm here. So I guess, but not. I would have liked to have been a little bit less linear, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Talking on Turner Duckworth was like the dream for you early on, right? I remember you saying when we talked before, it was like the Real Madrid of design for you. I'm
Yeah,
curious
yeah.
what happens like when you walk into that dream and the reality catches up. Did it live up to what you'd imagined? Was there any like what did you take with you as well when you left?
Um, Worked with some amazing people there. Got mentors from there that I've still got today, like Christian Eager and Miles Marshall and stuff like that. Amazing people. And like again, it was amazing to get that time with Bruce. I was there for like 5 years. So like, it was in I seen the transition of when I think after 3, 4 years, then Bruce left, and then the company got bought by Publicis, and now it's been it's in that kind of space now.
Mm.
But yeah, still doing amazing things. And it was, when I left, I didn't want to leave, bro. I think it's hard, Jimmy, because like when you start as a junior, you're so blind to, in the best way possible, to all the numbers, all the time. You don't care. All I cared about was like just coming up with fucking ideas, bro. Do you know what I mean? I didn't care as long as I was on the project, how much the projects were bringing in. I was just gonna do some crazy shit. And at TD, they always pushed me to kind of break stuff, and I still do today. I love breaking stuff. So it's kind of that, and I think as you grow through, I left as a senior, and I'd built it genuinely, bro. It was a family, lad. Like, I grew up with these people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I loved them all so much. I had some crazy times with them, like the Christmas parties, and that was wild, bro. Like, but it was wild, bro. And like all just like I don't know, just the random nights at the pub where you go to the pub in Chiswick and just have like proper sick nights, card behind the bar energy. And it was I feel like it was like the very different. Like I said, being in America now and being in New York, it's not the same culture, but like, I don't know what it's like in the UK these days, but then Friday nights when we used to finish work was amazing, bro. Um,
Thursdays as well always seem to be a
well,
big
yeah,
one.
Thursdays, yeah, Thursdays. Um, but when I left, bro, like I said, it was it was sad, but I took away 5 years of being absolutely, like, in the best way possible, like, smashed with pressure. You know what I mean? It was like it made me such a better designer, because like, I'd go into rooms, bro, and everyone was so good there that, like, it was a time we used to print people. Jesus Christ, I'm sure I'm my age here, Jimmy, but like we used to print things off. We used to, we used to, it's probably better for the trees that we don't do it these days. But like I used to, we used to print these fucking things off, and we used to go into these rooms with like, and everyone would turn the paper down, and we would with a couple other designers or whatnot. And bro, everyone used to, and my belly used to go so much. People would just turn pieces of paper over with absolute fire on them,
Yeah.
fire on them, fire on them. And I remember it making me eat myself a lot of the time. But yeah, pressure makes diamonds, and I think that pressure is a privilege, and coming out of that, I grew through it, and I learned how to swim in the deep end there. So taking that, then yeah, and then left. So it was
Yeah.
sick, bro.
You
It was sad.
mentioned about feeling a bit lost after leaving. We chatted before, and I think that's something that a lot of designers experience, particularly with career transitions or leaving a studio or an agency that's been a big part of your life. I'm curious, like, what did that period post TD look like for you, and like, what pulled you out of that feeling of lost?
Well, it was going freelance, to be honest, bro. In between when I moved from TD, and when I started at B&B, the reason I went was because like I'd worked on these big brands with these massive budgets, with these rooms filled with like people and marketing teams and marketing budgets and stuff like that. And I'd always been interested in like, I would always love like the smaller brands and stuff that I can shoe and things like that. And he was doing more like kind of health driven brands and whatnot. So I wanted to see the other side of things. And well, in that kind of world, saying when I started at B&B, my mum got breast cancer, and that just not that that was the reason why I didn't vibe with it, but it did change my perspective on a lot of things. Like my mum was obviously in Manchester, I was in London and, navigating this was quite tricky, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I was doing the work, and if anything, the work was a removal from all that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? It helped me, it did help me. I've always been really good at that, like, kinda just when things get heavy, I can just dive into my work and kind of ignore the world a little bit. So it was a weird kind of like 11, 12 months that I was there, and kind of it wasn't it just wasn't I just didn't feel excited there like I did at TD, and I think again, like going back to the other thing that I said a minute ago, it was like I think you start at somewhere like TD in your first company, and it's like it's your honeymoon period, innit? You make family, you make all these friends and stuff like that, and then you go in as a senior and you see the industry, you see the job, you see the company say from a bit of a different perspective. I felt like you understand things a little bit different. You're not as naive in not necessarily a good way. Do you know what I mean? Um, and it just felt like I just didn't feel that inspired there. Um, and I think again, like having the pressure of Turner Duckworth, I didn't really feel that there. And again, everything else that was going on in my personal life. So yeah, so the best thing for me, again, to feel like I was in the middle of the ocean with work, say, was to go freelance. Because it felt like uncharted territory for me. Like I'd not experienced getting an accountant, but getting booked on a random job. Me, Jimmy, put me in a room with anyone and I'll speak to anyone. It was kind of like being a placement again, but not being a placement again, but having like a couple of years experience and actually, whatnot, getting paid for it, say, and being able to explore the industry a little bit loosely.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And that really leads nicely onto what I was gonna say next, actually, because this kind of metaphor, you mentioned it before, that like you thrive when you're drowning and need to learn how to swim. And I'm quite curious, like, where do you think that wiring comes from? And I'm also want to know, like, does that ever kind of play against you as well? Does it ever not become useful?
Good question, Jimmy. These are good questions, bro. I'm trying to be like you, bro. Um, um, I think like I think a little. I was a nightmare in school, bro. And my dad, I remember my dad used to work on removals. Not to always speak about my mum. My dad used to work on removals, and he's such a fucking hustler, bro. He's from a generation where he doesn't know how to speak about his emotions and his feelings, but one thing he does know is how to grind, bro, and how to be the breadwinner. Do you know what I'm saying? And all that energy.
Right.
Um, so And I remember doing days on the bloody removals with my dad, bro, and I was, like, running up and down these flights of stairs with big boxes and fridges and couches and stuff like that. And like I said, I was a nightmare in school, bro. I was the kid selling cigs behind the skip, fucking smoking ciggies, I got kicked out of school. Um I had this art teacher that told me that I was good at graphic design. Well, not even good at it. She was like, I printed something on acetate, and I was like, I'll never forget the feeling it gave me. It was the first time in like however many years of a curriculum at school, bro. I hated like science, um, fucking English or maths, anything like that. But I loved art. I loved cooking. I loved deep design and technology classes and stuff. Anything that I was using that different part of my brain. And this
Mm.
art teacher, when I printed it, she is like, she's seen through the facade, I guess, a little bit of this cocky teenager and was like, "Oh, you should go and look at doing maybe graphic design at college." And when she gave me that little thing, but when she planted that seed and I went to college, and I've always been good with my gut, bro. Do you know what I mean? That's why I eat good food, bro. So I'm making sure that I can follow my gut. um, and when I walked into college and I met a college tutor, I went to a couple of colleges, met this college tutor, and it just felt right. Do you know what I mean? So my point being is like, when I found out I was good at this thing, after a couple of years of college and stuff, because I was never the best at it. I just kept at it because I loved it. I was like, right, no one's taking this away from me now. And it was almost this. I spent years of therapy talking about this, bro. Um, um, I think that's why it's hard for me to not do the hard things because I don't want to be that guy behind that skip again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
That makes sense. And my dad, like, was just such a hustler, bro, in everything that he's done. So I think he instilled that in me without really even realizing it. I just always seen it. Do you know what I mean? Like the fucking Jesus Christ, I used to see him on that. You know, when I did go on them removal jobs with him, bro. Like when I did go on them removal jobs with him, he was the one in the team who was like doing the work. Do you know what I mean? Running up and down the room, you know, running up and down the stairs and whatnot, like hustling. And I think you see that, and then you kind of absorb that. Your subconscious takes it, and then you become that a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, not just
And do you
not
think
just
it
bigging
ever
up man,
plays
just digging
against
up.
your favor? You ever like but hit burnout or anything from just like going at it too hard?
I had a conversation. I'm writing a zine at the minute, writing for a zine at the minute, on chaos. First time I've ever wrote for a zine, and I've reflected on this a little bit.
Mm.
And I was speaking to Izzy, the lady who puts it all together, about this the other day. It's like, I'm so respectful of it because, like, it's why I eat good food. It's why I train jujitsu, you know, martial arts, whatever. Why I go for runs. Why I try and get, you know, good sleep. And because I love this thing so much, I never want it to be at my detriment. Do you know what I mean? But the people I get inspired by, look at anyone who's uh, uncommon amongst
Mhm.
uncommon people in their field. Say, like, you know, if you want to go basketball, your LeBrons, your Jordans, you know, your Kobe's, if you go footballers, whatever, they're obsessed about their subject matter, and you know, they're on the court early, they're shooting the shots when no one else is there, saying their own time, they're pushing the work and stuff. But I think for me, it's always like just doing things, you know, around outside of design to help me, or the podcasting or whatever it is, just to be able to perform at 100 as much as I can.
Mhm.
You know, I do struggle taking days off. I do struggle, you know, booking weekends away. Say I'm actually
Yeah.
going up. But I do this. So this is the way I justify it, right? So I'm going back to the UK soon, right? I'm working a week, taking a week off, seeing mumsy, all that stuff. But then at the end of it, I'm going up to Dublin and I'm doing a course with Annie Atkins. So even so, like my weekend off, bro, is still, it's like an active recovery weekend, bro. Do you know? Do you know
You
what I'm
you
saying?
do your fucking podcast on Sunday as well, right?
Do you know what I
Crazy
mean? So I do
bastard.
podcasts and stuff. So, but again, so it's like, but it's hard though because like I love doing the pod so much. You know, when you know as much as I do, Jimmy. Like when you leave these calls and you've had a conversation with someone and they're giving you the time of day and stuff and whatever, and they've lit you up inside and they've told you the story. It's so inspiring for me. So that
Yeah.
Sunday, doing that pod on a Sunday, bro. If anything, it's like,
Energy for the week.
yeah, bro. It's like a fucking big shot of coffee for me, bro. You
Yeah.
know.
I like that. I like that. I want to talk about Pearlfisher a little bit, just on like journey wise, because when we spoke earlier in this year, you mentioned that you really want to leave a legacy there, and I'm curious what
Mhm.
that looks like in practice. Is it the work? Is it culture? Is it something else? Like what is that legacy to you? What's your mark you want to leave?
Yeah, man. A bit of everything, bro. Is so been at Pearlfisher now just over 2 years, and when I started there, it was going through this like transitional period, so to say, in my words. You know, like things were changing, people was leaving, new management, stuff like that. Like things was really changing, and things have
Yeah,
really changed in
new
the past.
CEO as well, right?
Yeah, all that stuff. You know, like we had a couple different people come in and leave and things with that. Um, and yeah, it was like I've never been through a transitional stage like that at a company, but I've always been like, you know, I remember when I first entered the industry and like Pearlfisher was like on top, bro, like doing firework, bro, like all the stuff I remember. You know, I know a good few people who used to work there, and that like a lot of people have come through Pearlfisher at the time and set up their own studios and things like that in the UK and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, this sounds good. And like I said, when I worked with Matt, it felt right. But so since I've been there, and like Drew Stocker as well, who's ex Turner Duckworth as well, so I knew that we cut from the same, you know, cloth. Say,
Yeah.
so I knew Drew, I knew what energy Drew would be driving. So, you know, and I've always kind of like believed in them. Do you know what I'm saying? So like when I've been there, I've been like with the energy of like, you know, I say this I'm not going to say somewhere for the rest of my life. Like I say that openly, everyone knows that, bro. Do you know what I mean? I'm building a thing with what does your mum think? Like everyone knows that. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
wherever I am, I'm playing for that team and I'm going to give them my 100%, bro. Like, and so that's been my energy. And it's like, pushing through as much as we possibly can. And like I've done some great projects there, and I've got some good projects coming out soon, some big brands, Jimmy.
Right.
Um, and like so that and then again now with the culture, like I've just done my first live podcast, and I did it at Pearlfisher, do you know? So I'm trying to incorporate that where I can. And that was an amazing event, bro. To be able to, I'm so grateful for Pearlfisher in that respect as well. To be able to give me that space, to be able to
Yeah.
do that, you know,
And that was a
dude. I
fucking
love to.
sick one as well. I really enjoyed that ep, like listening to it, seeing it live, like in person. It was cool to see that format, and also just hear about Matt as well. Like Matt, super fucking interesting. Yeah, it was dope.
He's a geezer, bro. And again, I'm super grateful for that. So that's what it kind of looks like for me, bro. Like, you know, get some of these projects out to the world, get some killer case studies out there. And like Sheps was a part of that, you know, like
Yeah,
Sheps was a part of that fire, getting Pearlfisher back on top. And then, you know, from there, who knows? We're building. But yeah, I think that's what it looks like to me, bro. Like pushing where I can with, you know, maybe some live pods there and stuff, and like getting, I'm really big on like helping curate this community in design. And I know people say that a little bit, so I want to build on that a little bit, Jimmy, because like I think me consciously being from the UK, I used to go to St. Bride's when St. Bride's was happening, and I always remember the pub after it, bro, and then D&AD and the fucking festivals, and you know, we used to go to this boozer on Cheshire Street, and stuff after it, and it always just felt like, but again, it's UK culture, you know, it goes to the boozer, you know what I mean? Like, even if you don't drink, bro, you know, everyone just goes to boozer,
yeah.
just, and you know,
Where the
so it's
magic
like,
happens.
yeah, it really is, bro. And I feel like for me out here, like I just don't think, and I think again, like past the Panny D and all that stuff, whatever, and it's a different world we live in now. But whatever, I just don't think it's like that here. But I think since being here, I try and get to everything, you know, everything I possibly can. You know, I'm always wearing pink, always trying to meet people. Um, and I just want to again like try and be a facilitator of that. Like it was so amazing, bro, like having must have been about 50, 60 people there in that room. And, you know, like after it, being able to just sit there or walk around saying like speak to a few people and that, it was like, yeah, man, that this is, you know, the energy was just so sick. And so I want to kind of, you know, you know, I know there's pockets of communities within it, and you know, Uncommon doing some great stuff, and Collins obviously, Brian's
Yeah.
always doing amazing stuff at the coffee house and stuff at Collins, and try and get to them when I can. It's like going on all day for me going to Brooklyn, bro, from Harlem. Um, so yeah, man. Hopefully more of them.
Speaking on that kind of like creating a creative community, like I want to talk about obviously want to talk about what does your mum think a little bit. You've always been running that for about 3 years now. I'm curious, like when you look back or maybe think back to like the first episodes and compare them to where you're at now, what's like the main thing that you've seen change? Is the format, the guests, the reason for doing it? Obviously, I know you're running it solo now. It's yeah, curious to hear like what are the big changes in the 3 years you've been running this for?
Yeah, man. I don't think I think I've just got better in it. I think, you know, I think I felt, you know, I say that as humbly as I possibly can, but obviously I've got better. I've done like nearly fucking 65 episodes now, you know, and if I weren't
Mental.
getting better, then I don't think it'd be for me, lad, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check myself if I wanted to bloody do this anymore. I think, you know, well, I brought Callum on board now. Callum's actually my little brother. He's a data analyst, and he's so and a researcher in the UK, and he's so into the grain and into the details of things, bro. So like that really helps. Because obviously, you know, he comes with this wealth of research, and then we sit together and then we plan the phases together and how the because it's kind of got like a structure now. The turning point for me, Jimmy, was getting stories from the heart that make mums proud. Like getting that line. I always remember like Debbie Millman's and stuff like that and other people's, and almost like, you know, working in branding, you know, what's that line, you know what I mean, that everything ladders up to. And when I got there, it took me 50 episodes to get there. After doing Debbie Millman's episode, that's when I did get there.
Right.
It was yeah, I think when I got that, it just helped add clarity to what I was doing, because I was always gonna keep doing it, and it naturally when Michael left, bro, like I've set this, you know, when I was in London, like bro, like we did this together, like it was me and Michael, do you know what I mean? And But then it was tricky. Like he was moving around a lot. He left London to go to Manchester, and he left Manchester to go to China. And then when he went to China, bro, it just got really tricky. You know, the time zone, the internet, everything, bro. And like Michael's building his own thing, and he's amazing. Like again, like he is one of, he's one of us kind of energy, and I love him to bits. He's my best friend, always has been. I've not seen him for a very long time now, but he's got 2 little kids, and he's out there in China doing his thing, and he's building. So, when we did break up, it felt like a breakup. I cried my eyes out. Um, it was out of respect and just knowing that, like, I seen a bigger vision with what does your mum think. So I was to take it forward. So a lot of things haven't, I'm not necessarily doing anything different from when we first started. I'm just trying different things in it. I think there's a lot of stones I've not unturned yet, like trying to get like a proper sponsorship now and doing that with someone who aligns with my values. Do you know what I mean? And the podcast's values, not just getting someone, just a random sponsor. I want it to be, I eat good food. So if it was, or, if Olipop say, or someone, if it's a brand say, or is it, you know, so yes, I think not that I've always done it with intention, not that I didn't do it with intention, but I'm doing everything a little bit more now with like intent. Everything I do, it's like I've never put one person for clout, but I always do like a little stage at the start of my pods where it's like how and why I've got them on. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I'm connected to them, quite literally. Say I've experienced working with them, or I've met them in a room, say, or something, or others is just like I've been an admirer of the work and I've followed the journey from afar, and they've been an inspiration for me. Do you know what I mean? And I think with that then helps me lean in with interest. And when I lean in with interest, thing gets interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm naturally just such a fucking curious person, Jimmy. Like I love feeling inspired, bro. I love feeling that feeling of like I just love seeing people do well, lad, and it's just I will do that everything I'm clapping for you as much as I possibly can, and like I think what you're doing and what you're pushing with the pod and everything and putting yourself out there, lad. I know them feelings, bro. I know them feelings of being in your head. I know them feelings of being sat on my fucking desk, bro, having this name for this podcast, scared about what people are gonna think. Gives a fuck, bro. You know what I mean? Like, once you get out your head and you start pushing through and you do these great things and you look and you speak to these people who have done these great things, then you realize they are these feelings too. And he's
Mm.
like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, I don't know if that I've kind of waffled a little bit there, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm just going to keep getting better at it. I'm going to keep turning up on a Sunday to record one and keep putting it out on a Wednesday because I owe that to the listeners and myself, and my mum. Mum's my biggest listener, bro, my biggest fan. First person who listens to an episode and likes it and all that stuff. And yeah, man, I'm going to take this shit to the top, bro. I think it's bigger than me.
Yeah, I love that, man, and I love your comment about, yeah, just put yourself out there. There's a point. Thing that really stuck with me was, I don't know if you see it, like you've probably seen the Collins 101 design rules.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was one that
Mm-hmm.
Leyland wrote in there that was just to be very. So like no matter what you do, be very, in your personality, in your work, like all aspects and walks of life, just be very, turn it up. And I think it's like you said, you can get in your head and it can be a scary thing to do, but like you just gotta fucking do it. And when you start doing it, people do love it. I think you have this perception, right, that you get nervous, like, oh, is everyone gonna like this? Anyone gonna listen? Is anyone gonna? And then you start hearing the feedback, and because you've been yourself and you've been natural with it. And yeah, I think that's one thing that's always stuck with me is just be very, or whatever I fucking do, be very. I
Love
really
it.
love that
I love
that
it.
take from
Yeah, I
Les.
like that. Yeah.
Speaking about going solo with it, like, doing an episode every Sunday, putting it out every Wednesday, like that's a hustle, that's a grind alongside a full-time job. I'm curious, like, what have you learned about running it alongside a full-time job, and like any like tips for anyone that might be thinking of doing something similar, be it a podcast or whether they want to start just kind of putting out some content?
Yeah. The balance is a privilege, bro. that, if you wanna, if I think it was Ice Cube I heard saying this. I've tailored my Instagram, bro, to just see shit that feeds me. So if I do catch myself fucking lost into scrolling holes, at least I'm taking my subconscious in with stuff that's useful. So I probably took
Yeah,
this away sometimes. And I
yeah,
think Ice Cube was running his mouth saying something. If you want to do something and you want to do it with heart or intention or whatever the thing is, you better be prepared to do that shit for at least 5 years and not getting paid for it. Do you know what I mean? I'm in a blessed space, right, to actually love designing, not just design, but designing, being a creative, like doing creative projects. I design for Pearlfisher, of course, but I'm always pushing personal projects. I'm always, I've got two eyes, bro, and I look at the world sideways, lad. When I'm outside, eyes wide open, I'm always, and I'm always looking, oh, that could be really bad. I get little ideas there. I'll go and do it, knock it up on a weekend and try and post that out. And I think like staying fed in that world, for me, it all feeds each other, right? And then I think outside of what I do, like I said, with the martial arts and stuff like that does too. Do you know what I mean? Because that allows my subconscious to take over with things. Um, it does get tricky, bro. But I think I find momentum when everything's moving at once.
hmm
Again, reflecting on like this zine I'm writing on chaos at the minute. Like I think I have a very structured, disciplined way to approach chaos. Like it's like disciplined, structured chaos in a way in my life. It's like, getting up early in the morning, I go I prep whatever I need to. I drink my electrolytes and I go straight to the I've just moved obviously studios and whatnot. So I go straight to the roof and I just have a minute, no phone, no nothing. I stretch on the roof. I look at the New York kind of like scape and stuff like that and whatnot, and just have a minute and then it's like, right, goal time, hour on a podcast. If I can get or hour on a personal project, hour on just sending emails and booking guests in. Right, 9 o'clock, Pearl Fisher time now. We go 2 days in the studio, 3 days from home. So that helps. But if I am commuting in, I'm commuting if I can get a seat and it's not I always usually go in a little bit later so I can get a seat and I can work on the subway. This is how my head works, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I train, martial arts at lunch. So if again, usually on the days that I'm working from home, so I can get on the subways a little bit quieter, I'll get a seat and then my gym's like 30 minutes away, so I get 30 minutes working. Smack out 30 minutes work hour session, 30-minute back, boom, right, then have my lunch. And then because I've took a longer lunch, then I'll that's my I always see working out as like coffee. So it's like I don't drink coffee. I like a green tea, do you know what I mean? Mainly for my digestion and my gut, but like that's my like coffee shot and then work for as long as I can. When I start getting a little bit foggy and a little bit fatigued, then I'll go for an evening walk, I'll go for a run and then try and push something else. So I think for me, if I was giving anyone advice, is like I say this in a way where like I know some people who are chasing a dream might not necessarily love the day job. I actually do love my day job, and it does actually feed the other things, but I have to find if I'm on a concept stage at Pearl Fisher, then I give that my priority. Do you know what I mean? Like that then comes above everything else. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, right, then this needs like 80% of my brain power, and I might only send like a couple emails that day for the pod say. But then if I'm like in a way where, like, say, I'm doing something that's a little bit more like a development stage, and I know it still needs brain power, but not as much the concept stage, then naturally I'll balance that day a little bit differently, say, you know what I mean? So I think if I'm giving advice to anyone, it'd be like find momentum the best way you can and embrace whatever chaos is for you, but in a way where it doesn't hurt your head and make you feel like I never feel like I'm doing enough. So I say all this stuff, lad, and it's hard for me to give people advice, Jimmy. Do you know what
You're
I'm saying?
making me feel lazy as fuck, mate. All right.
No, but it's like yeah. I think momentum. I think if you can find the cogs, if you can have multiple cogs working, you know, make yourself do things that's not design or whatever your subject matter is. Say you wanted to clothing brand. Say you wanted to do a clothing brand and you immerse yourself in clothing brands all day, but then you have a 9 to 5 job doing whatever else it is. Like find something that's so left field. Go and play paddle. Go and run. Go and do whatever, and then come back to it and stuff like. I think I've become multifaceted and find momentum.
Would you say that, like, because I remember you saying before as well, like pressure is a privilege. Talked earlier about kind of you feel what you thrive when you feel like you're drowning. Do you is it like the sports, the activity, is that like the side of things that helps you keep that healthy balance and stops it from burning out? Would you say?
Well, I think so, yeah. I think the hardest thing you do is the hardest thing you do, innit? So if you got a lot of these shepisms, lad, I've robbed all these, bro. I've robbed all these off like smarter people than me and more disciplined people than
Isn't
me.
that what everybody does? I swear every quote's like that now.
You know, the mine are usually badly paraphrased into Mancunian. So big up the people I've robbed these from. Yeah, the hardest thing you do is the hardest thing you do, in it. So I've always and I lad, I feel these things, bro. You know, like, dude, if I'm doing a client presentation at work and I might have a couple feelings in my belly about it, because and them feelings I've learned to understand only come from caring. Whenever I have them feelings in my belly, when I've got something coming up, it's because I care about that thing. I was shitting myself for that live podcast in the best way possible, lad. You know what I mean? I knew if I didn't have them feelings, then I'm not made to do these things. Do you know what I mean? Um, yeah, it's, I think, yeah, they do, lad. I think just doing hard, yeah, it just makes things easier, bro. I just,
Yeah.
yeah, I think again for martial arts for me, lad. Like when I don't want to go to jiu-jitsu, bro. At times, most of the time, let's be real, lad. If you want me to be fucking real, bro, I do not want to go and roll around with sweaty men that are usually fucking tougher and bigger than me. Sometimes girls too. Do you know what I mean? Like I get twisted up of both fucking people. Um, submitted, strangled, all this shit. I got my hair in my face. I got people's sweat dripping into my fucking. It's awful lad, at times, but I love the feeling of coming out of it and like just, yeah, just feeling, you know, feeling that I can take on anything, because that's the hardest thing I'm gonna do that day. Like it just makes everything just better for me. Like,
I I'm gonna steal one now. It's that like easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life kind of thing,
there
right?
you go, bro. That's it. Like, yeah, man. It's exactly, yeah. I couldn't agree more. Like it's, it's. I think again, yeah. You just got to do these things, and if you're, yeah, that's what it keeps me going. Do you know what I mean? And again, it just, whenever things get heavier, when I get briefed in on a project, bro, I sit through a big fucking 100-page document of strategy, and they say loads of big words to me and that and whatever, bro. The first thing I do after that briefing is shut my mark and I go and train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I come back and then the ideas just flow, lad. You know what I mean? I work till like 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, then just like tearing up pages, bro, like making a mess, like going in a couple of days and I'm electric, bro, like that is. But it took me years to get there. Like back to your question about advice for people, it's like, I do rep my like my study time as experience. It is experience. So,
Mm.
well, it took me a long time to be able to understand how powerful my subconscious is and what works for me. Do you know what I mean? It takes confidence to shut your mic straight after a briefing, bro. Like, dude, me saying that at a junior level, fucking hell, bro. A junior, bro. I used to fall asleep with pens in bed, bro. I asked my old flatmates, bro. My old bedding when I was a junior at Turner Duckworth was filled with ink, bro. I used to wake up with like ink pens that bursted on me, lad, because I'd be like sat there smoking a joint in bed, bro, just sketching. I just never stopped, bro.
Yeah.
So, but again, the momentum thing that I mentioned a minute ago, when you have other things to pour yourself into and give that 100%, I think it makes you better because they all start feeding each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You talked before about delaying joy for success as well, like the constant sense you're not
Yeah,
allowed to be
man.
happy yet because you've
Yeah.
not made it. You don't feel like you're doing enough. I think a lot of people carry that quietly. But when did you like first notice that in yourself, and like how did you kind of learn to work with it?
I'm still learning to work with it. I think I learned that off. I think I read it in a book or listened to it in a book, say, or a podcast or something. I think it might have been Chris Williamson. I think I got that from. It's a big thing, that, Jimmy, lad. Like, this is the best. I say this on a podcast now, and I want to be as real as I possibly can when I say it, because it's like, I'm in this journey now. I believe in What Does Your Mum Think so much. Like, I'm going to make this my main squeeze, bro. Like, this is going to be it. And I think it's going to be multiple things, not just a podcast. But it takes. Ask me the question again.
So, how did you learn to work with the kind of notion of delay and joy for success? Like, how did you figure out how to work with that, and when you first noticed it?
I just want to answer it in the correct way.
I get you.
I'm still figuring it out. It's hard, isn't it? Because like they say, the journey is the best bit. Keep dropping these fucking things, bro. Do you know what I mean? I sound like a fucking self-help book, but 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 uh, I don't know how to do it, lad. I'm trying to not do it. I think Andy Katuli, fucking good friend of mine, lad. Love him, bro. I've never actually met the guy in person, bro, but he's one of the most creative people that I've ever met, bro. And like speaking to him about this the other day, and I got really upset on a call with him because of this. You know, you push and you push and you push, bro, and nothing gives. You know, I'll post a podcast thing or I labored on, say for a weekend, and it gets no traction. Not that I'm doing it for any clicks or likes or anything, but like I want people to listen to this and get as inspired as I'm getting to it. But like, you push so hard at these things, and then feel like you get nowhere with it sometimes. But Andy was like saying, just book a weekend away, bro. Like, you know, you might start thinking about the money, the time you're taking off, but when you're there and you look back on it, like you never regret doing it. You
Yeah.
never regret like taking that trip. Like whenever I've been to like Miami out here or gone to like Mexico or some shit, and I've done them exact feel. Oh shit, it's gonna X amount for your Airbnb, X amount for the car you're gonna rent, and da 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 da. And it's like you go and you don't even think about the money that you spent. You just think about the sick times that have been in it. Do you know what I mean? And the fucking joy that comes from them moments, and they weirdly help you become the success because again, the power of the subconscious, lad. The amount. You know, going to Miami, bro, and seeing all the signage and seeing all the stuff and things and whatever else, and like going to Mexico and like seeing all the typography and things, and then Chipotle needs a rebrand. I might do that as a personal project, and then you have all the, you know, then you have all these things in your head. So it's like it all feeds back, bro. Jesus, I can't funny stop. But I get a lot right. So this is what I wanted to say. Right, I get a lot of joy from becoming the success in in terms of I get a lot of joy from doing a personal project. Like it might be like a Chipotle. I fucking hate Chipotle's branding. I think it needs a rebrand. Shout me Chipotle. Um, so I'll start having a play with the personal project. I'll do a few logos for it. If something sticks, I might put it out with the world or whatever. So I get joy in that. And so where I think for me, what it means is like on the days where things are really kind of in my head and shitty and like nothing's pushing and you shouldn't have said that, lad, or you shouldn't have posted that, or you should have posted that, or you should have said that. It's one or the other. It's very much I'm just in the moment being like, you're doing the thing, bro. Like you're doing the thing, and people tell me that I'm doing the thing, bro. And I get messages of people saying you're everywhere and you're doing the, you know, it's hard to think or feel that you're doing the thing. So you come on a thing like this, right? And I speak to you about doing the thing, and I'm going to keep saying the word thing because people tell me I'm doing the thing and the thing, the thing. It's like it's reflection for you, isn't it? And like you sit in the moment now. So, you know, I've got a few butterflies in my belly when I'm saying a couple of these things. Like imposter syndrome starts creeping in. I'm like, shit, are you the right? Can you say these things to Jimmy on this podcast and people are going to listen to this? And like, are you really got enough validation in your life? Yeah, I have. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have. Like, who's going to tell me I'm not? You know, like who's not, you know, I think it's just all this internal thing, in it. It's like you just,
Mhm.
what's the thing, bro? Like what tells you you're a success when you got a G-Wagon outside and you've got the fucking picket fence and you've got the thing, you know, or is it when you've got like this loving family around you and you've got like you've got a you know a team of people that like come in on good energy every day, and you've created a culture that's like amazing, and everyone goes home and feeds their family with the bread you're
Yeah.
putting on the table because you know becoming the best leader you possibly can. And you know, like I think success is such a subjective thing. Like, dude, like I read books on it best I can. You know, I understand what other leaders' takes on success are. You know, as yourself, when you speak to a lot of these industry leaders and you see things from like this top perspective. And I think again, like people have these realizations when they get everything. And footballers, bro, I don't even like soccer, football, whatever. Sorry, I've just said soccer. I mean, we should
You've been there too long, mate.
it becomes fucking second nature. But footballers don't have the longest careers, do they? Say they don't go into the 40s and 50s playing football. And I think
Yeah.
unless they go into like coaching and doing podcasts these days or like analytics or stuff like that, like I think there's some footballers who have like midlife crises and stuff like that because they don't know what else to do because they've had this fast paced journey of like having the highest of the highs and then coming out of it, like, the 40 for that, what do I do next now? The good ones, obviously, invest and do other things maybe, or like whatnot, I guess. But I think some people really struggle with that and like lose their identity because they get so lost in just being this on again, like the highest of highs, say.
Yeah. I think it's really important to
But
define success a little bit for yourself and also reflect. Like that was one thing, I'm similar to you where I'm like, I don't ever feel like I'm fucking doing enough. I feel like I can do more. I feel like I can be doing better, achieving this, achieving this. But then I look back and like, 4 years ago, I was fucking maybe 5 years ago, drowning in a drug addiction and a job I hated. And all I wanted at that time was weekends to hang out with my mates because I was working in fucking retail, right? So now I'm like, okay, actually, now when I look back, no, I've achieved that success there, and I think like you can get too caught up in just constantly chasing. And actually, speaking of successes as well, I want to chat to you about something fucking awesome I saw recently about you getting announced as a D&AD Shift mentor, right?
yeah, that's cool. That's
Bro, that's
cool. And
fucking awesome, man. Like, amazing program. I interviewed quite a lot of the mentors at D&AD last year. Or not mentors, sorry, the mentees. And it's just a bunch of fucking awesome people. But like, I mean, that must be like a real big moment for you. Like, it's such an awesome thing to be getting involved with and like contributing back to the community, right? You tell me a little bit more
yeah,
about that. I'd be curious as well. What's like the biggest impact you'd like to have on the people that you work with there?
yeah, great question. Yeah, man. It's something I do feel really passionate about, lad. I'm not just saying it. I do give a fuck about that. Like, I'm not from the most, dude. It's a middle class industry, bro.
Mm.
It's a middle class industry, and it's a very privileged industry to work in. And I don't take that lightly. And I've always tried to, if someone wants to jump on a call, if someone wants to have a chat, whatever it is, I've always tried to give back. So, I've always loved D&AD, bro. I've got a D&AD New Blood tattooed on my fucking leg. Like I've
No way.
always that's stupid. You know what I mean?
That's class.
Fucking daft. Jesus Christ. But yeah, nah. I've always seen D&AD as like the pinnacle of like, uh, like winning that New Blood for me was like, yeah, sick. And then I got to do like I designed the exterior for the place in London and stuff. And I remember working with people there to do that, and I'm working closely with Bruce in that project too at CD and Miles and stuff. And that was
Yeah.
really cool. So it's always had like a place in my heart, bro. And like I've always loved what they've done with like Shift. I've got a friend, Jake, who came through it actually, D&AD Shift and stuff. I met him at TD and he was just a real one, bro. Do you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
from this university background and all that stuff. He's like, you know, so like wherever I could, I give back. So then, yeah, like I've got the opportunity now to be a shift mentor to this girl called Anna, and she's amazing, bro. I just fucking love how she thinks, and I just because there's 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 so much gold, bro, in being like a neophyte at things and approaching things with a beginner's mindset and not being like institutionalized or knowing too much about the subject of it. It's like us doing podcasts, bro. I kind of speak for both of us, but speaking for myself, I'm not a fucking journalist, bro. I don't know how to. I don't know how to pull information together properly, bro. I'm not the most articulate person in the world, but I think there's something beautiful that comes from that because you learn how to do it your way, and I think that's why I love Shift because
Mhm.
they've not been to university and been told, right, you need to put this agency on a pedestal, you need to put this agency on a pedestal, and this is the way it's done. And obviously they get education from like industry leaders or industry people, should I say, not even leaders, and they get these opportunities to go into these studios and see all these things. But I think some of them are a little bit older too, do you know what I mean? So they've had a little bit more kind of like life experience, so they know internally what they're about a little bit more. And that's what I've been trying to speak to Anna about. It's like, as much as you can look at Pearlfishers, Pentagrammers, Kotos, and all these amazing agencies and whatever else, like in house could be cool. Like you could go and You like films, go and work for a production agency. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think and that's what I want to kind of push. It's like, the momentum, cogs, putting these things together. Like, you love food, design a cookbook. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Oh, you love editorial design. You love, like, I think there's other ways in, and I think that's what's beautiful about Shift. It can help people uncover that a little bit
Mm.
more. So to say, obviously, I say this. I went to university, so like I've got hindsight, and it's always 2020. So I respect that kind of take. But I think with that take, I'm good to be able to give a take to someone else. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a while, and I'm yeah, I'm grateful to be able to give back in the way, in the best ways possible, and just run my
Yeah.
mouth. And what I want them to take from me, anyone I jump on a call with, is what I've just said then about the work, but also just being authentically themselves. Like, don't be worried about making mistakes. Like, don't make everything too perfect. Like, reach out to people with intent. Don't just in I think it's more important than ever to be human behind everything that you do, bro. Like,
Yeah.
reach out to people, tell them why you're reaching out to them. Don't just send them an AI generated fucking email, bro. So I just won't even read it, lad. I know, I can tell. I
Yeah.
get so many of them sent to me, and the ones that I do reach out back to is the one that I know is like, it doesn't need to be long and thingy, just like filled with like some form of intent. Like, why do you want to talk to me? Or why do you want to work at Pearlfisher? Or why do you want to come on the podcast? Or, I mean, whatever the thing is, I think just hitting people with intent, and then I think good things happen there with like leaning with interest, things get interesting, and be naturally a curious person. And I think you'll find other curious people who want to give back. Lad, you notice this yourself. Like, people love talking sometimes. You know what I mean? People love talking about themselves. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I think it's very reflective. Everyone I've done a podcast with at the end have always been like, "Thank you. It's kind of nice to go through my journey like that and like reflect on it." Some people do it more than others, so I think some people get more used to it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think sometimes it's good to. I try to get a few of them on here and stuff and that whatnot. I'll get Anna on the podcast when she's got a
Yeah. So
portfolio into, what I mean, things, stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm giving, these, I'm speaking to these two girls from Scotland at the minute, the Logo Lassie and Rachel Cartridge, and like, they're amazing, bro.
Yeah.
The Logo Lassie, still, I call her that because that's a brand name in it, so I want to push a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but she's still in uni, and I got on a call with her the other day, and I was like, "Do you know who she is? Do you know
No,
what
no,
I'm
I ain't
talking
heard of
about?"
before.
Everyone
No.
should go and check her out. She's awesome, and again with Rachel too, Rachel Cartledge, like
I'll
the pushing
plug the
thing.
link down below.
Yeah, yeah, they're doing like just like amazing things, bro. They inspire me as much as the top things, like the bottom up kind of energy. Like, they're doing more than most people. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing content, but then they're designing, they're doing personal projects, they're getting the names, they're doing talks, they're doing panels, they're doing podcasts. It's the new generation, bro. Like, embrace that. Do you know what I mean? You'd be stupid not to. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's the future, bro. And it keeps us on our toes in the best way possible, bro. I look at their work, bro, and it scares me. Oh my god, like my belly, bro. Like, I remember when Jay-Z mentions about like signing J. Cole, and he's like, "I'm signing him. I'm signing him. I don't want he's not taking my throne. I'm signing him." It's that kind of energy in it. Like, I want to embrace that and help.
Yeah.
Whatever I can, if I can help. You know, not that they need my help, but like if I can put that out for other people to see that, and I just see it as just so fearless. And you know, outside looking in is always different, in it. But however we all beat that feeling in our bellies different. But they definitely it just looks like they just do it, and they don't know any other way, and it's sick.
Yeah.
It's sick. Love it.
That's dope, man. Well, congrats again on the spot. It's awesome. You have to keep me posted on
Nice
how it
one.
all goes.
Mm.
I do want as well want to talk. We kind of inadvertently talked about it throughout this podcast, but just on the subject of mental health, I want to know a little bit more about, like you've said before, about feeling like a mess when everything outside looks polished. And I noticed as well, your mum said it on the Mother's Day special as well. She said something similar as well. I'm curious, why do you think vulnerability isn't more normalized in our industry? And do you think it costs people to keep pretending that everything's fine?
Yeah, 100%, bro. Vulnerability is power. You need to. I think the best leaders lead with vulnerability because it's relatability. If reading this thing the other day, I've been listening to I'm just gonna get the name of it up so I don't forget it. But you know, Pixar's book, um, Creativity Inc. with the Ed Catmull,
I do
and
not.
he talks. It's fucking good, bro. It's sick how they talk. Like they made like Toy Story and all that, and Pixar and things, obviously. And like, I never actually knew Steve Jobs was so involved with it that much. He talks about like the energy of like walking into a room as a leader, and whatever energy you walk into that room with, that's going to infect the team with. Do you know what I mean? So like, if you walk in on a good energy, say you're stressed on a project, right? Toy Story. Let's talk Toy Story, Pixar terms. Toy Story's coming up to a deadline. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to get this shit out. Like da 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 da. And you walk in that room and you show that stress, like that makes the team fully stressed, bro. But if you walk in that room, good energy, but then be like, feeling it, you know, today, gang. Like, fucking hell, this deadline's coming up, bro. Anyone else's belly going, right? What can we do now as a team to make this happen? If you walk in there like there's a fire outside, oh my God, there's a fire. Da, 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 we need to get this deadline in. Everyone's going to like panic, bro. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
I think it builds on that analogy too of like, if you're in a, I don't know if it's a good analogy, but if you're in a crashing airplane, make sure your thing's on yourself first before you kind of help anyone else. So like check yourself before you go into that room,
mm.
put your air mask. I don't know if it's a good analogy at all, but fuck it, we'll run with it.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
Put your air mask on and then you go in the room and then you help other people because other people might be feeling that stress too in them rooms. And bro, I'm gonna be a leader one day of whatever it is I'm gonna be leading. Do you know what I mean? And whatever that term means, you know what I mean? Just be someone who's building somewhere and can build a team and like work with amazing people. And it's, you know, I think coming up with good ideas is one thing, and this is building off Pixar's book, but building the right team to come up with the ideas, I think is more important, is what I'm learning so far.
Yeah,
I think having a room filled with people who understand each other. The family word can be a bit weird sometimes when companies call it a family, you know, we're a family. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's definitely something in that of being like a real team of like leading with like emotional intelligence. And
yeah,
you know, I think there's again like vulnerability. I think that help, you know, I think that ladders up to the same thing. And again, the best people I've worked with lead with that too. You know what I mean? Like you've got a lot of experience in this world, and not just design, life. You know, like you know, some of these people are like over 50 sometimes and stuff. And think if they sit there with all this like life experience and not like willing to kind of gimme son, and I think it can be detrimental to the team maybe. Um yeah, so I think vulnerability is power. I think it does hold people back, but I think it's hard for people to be vulnerable sometimes. Like you know, it can be hard for people, and maybe if it's the hardest thing that you do, people might struggle with that, you know. But I am an open book, Jimmy. Like, and you know, when I mentor people, when I work with people, even not even just not even like my peers at work, like people in other aspects of life, you know, I'm just whatever's happening. I'm conscious of not making every fucking conversation a therapy session, but like, but
that's
but
probably
you know
my
what I
fault.
mean.
I just
But
love this shit.
there's, but you know, let's be, you know, just trying to be real, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Sick, man. Well, I got one last question for you. After, was it you say 65 episodes of
Yeah.
asking
Yeah,
other
man.
people? I want to know, what does
Mhm.
your mum think?
Love it, Jimmy. I knew that was coming, bro. Yeah, she's hella proud, innit? Like, I post when I post it on a Wednesday, every Wednesday she will message me. She's the first person. She's like, she'll say something about the guest, and she'll be like, I dropped Thomas Wilder's episode this week, and she's like, oh, lovely man, and you smiled a lot on this episode, or it'll be like, you swore too much on this episode, or you did whatever. And yeah, she's buzzing, bro. Like it's an amazing thing for me, Jimmy, because it's like I'm in New York in it, and I don't see her every day, so that's a way she can see me on the big screen. And when my grandma sees it as well, she's like,
Yeah.
"What's he doing on that TV?" So there's definitely, yeah, it's sick to be able to just like she can literally see me, I guess, doing something. And you know, we have good chats. My mum's my best friend, bro, and you know, my mum's always been like a big inspiration for me. with everything when she went through what she went through and stuff like that. She's just, no matter what she's going through, bro, she can always be that that leader that, you know, my dad would be lost without her. She's always led the family, you know. She keeps the shit together no matter what she's going through. And for my mum to be able to see me pushing and she'll tell me like, I'm super proud of you, whatever. And I'm like, Mum, I've not done anything yet, Mum. You know what I mean? And then it's like we go again. But yeah, to answer your question simply, she's hella proud, and yeah, big up my mum. I love her. She'll be listening to this, so love you, Mum.
Oh mate, well you'll have to let me know what she thinks, and she should be proud, mate. You're killing it. It's been honestly been a real fucking pleasure getting to know you like properly the last kind of 6 months or so, and yeah, really appreciate your time jumping on and chatting with me. And yeah, I think this has been it's been a really cool one. So thanks again, mate. And we got to get a little, because I always like to do a little post, so we got to get a little peace sign up, grills out. Legend, bro.
Listen,
Thank you so
Jimmy.
much.
Listen, Jimmy. You're doing sick shit. Keep doing what you're doing. You inspire me. You might, you know, it never feels like enough, I think, but we're enough, lads. You know what I mean?
You too,
And
bro. You
on the
too.
flip of this, Jimmy's going to be coming on the What Does Your Mum Think podcast. So you've listened to me run my mouth. Please come over to What Does Your Mum Think and listen to Jimmy run his too. I'm excited to get into Jimmy's story. So big up you, man. Thank you. I feel, you know, I'm really honored to come on here, and I love what you're building, Jimmy. And, you know, let's keep pushing, bro. I got you. As much as I can, I've got you.
Absolutely, man. Big love, bro. And I'm really hoping I can get my ass out to New York. Come see you again soon.
Big love, brother. Thank you.
Catch you later, man.